Over the past couple weeks, I've been scrounging through the depths of the demo section on Steam in order to hopefully find some upcoming hidden gems. These were long, tedious hours which involved me sifting through some interesting games, but I think I found some good stuff. This video is going to be basically a collection of mini reviews and impressions, and if you like any of the games featured in the video, they will be linked in the description. Since they're all demos, you can play them for the amazing price of free, and make sure to wishlist the games you like since that helps the developers. I don't usually do this, but I ask you to kindly like and subscribe in order to hopefully finance my memory erasing procedure, in hopes that I can forget some of the atrocities I've witnessed while creating this video. Without further ado, let's jump right into some Steam demo dumpster diving. Today, I have set aside 7 demos of upcoming games.
Oh my god! Wow!
With the first one being... this wasn't on the list. Anyways, the first game being Shady Knight. I first found out about Shady Knight while watching one of Iron Pineapple's Souls-like videos, and I thought it looked fun, so I downloaded it. I liked it so much I wanted to make a video on it, but since it's a demo, it was too short. It was perfectly average, maybe even a little above average actually. That's when I came up with the idea for this video, and here we are. Anyway, Shady Knight is really fun. The best way I could describe it is a medieval movement shooter with a style meter that just plays really well. The only complaint I have so far is that there wasn't enough to play, as I wasn't able to get my full movement shooter fix while I wait for Titanfall 3 to come out. Also, more movement shooters need to have bows, because you feel like Katniss Everdeen, who just did 6 lines and is just bouncing around the arena killing everything. The game has a lot of potential for perfectionists and speedrunners, as it has a style meter that's determined by combos and stuff, as well as having a timer to see how quickly you can complete the arenas. The game even has a dedicated reset keybind, so the devs obviously also had this in mind while making the game. Finally, there's also a funny kick and a grappling hook, so just go wishlist the game already. I'm gonna be real, Gunbrella is my favorite demo that I played for this video. It's being published by Devolver Digital, so honestly, need I say more? Now, I'm not a Devolver fanboy or anything, but I will give credit where credit is due. I cannot remember the last time they've missed, and Gunbrella is certainly not looking like a miss so far. I may have to regrettably eat my words in the future, but I think it would take a biblical level miracle for them to screw this up for their final release. Every ounce of this game is just dripping with style. Just look at it. You don't need me to explain it for you, just use your eyes. In the soundtrack and audio design, I don't usually make a point to highlight the audio in a game, but with Gunbrella, it just kinda clicked for me. Again, just listen to it. But this isn't just a nice game to look at and listen to. It's a game with, good gameplay too. The Gunbrella is, a gun plus an umbrella, and it makes for a pretty good weapon that also doubles as a fun movement item. The movement system is very intuitive and fluid, and it doesn't take too long to be wall bouncing, umbrella dashing, and floating all the way across the map. And it feels great while doing it. But there's also room for some pretty advanced stuff, and I feel like Gunbrella really meets that sweet spot between being easy to learn, but being complicated enough to have a higher skill ceiling. The shooting also feels really nice and impactful. Enemies just splatter and burst apart when they die, but in a cartoony, satisfying way that makes your guns feel strong, and not in a, oh my god, I feel like throwing up type of way. The level design is interesting, and levels are a good balance of good looking and fun to play in, and they really let the movement system shine. This is only a short demo, but the pacing was quite good as well. The levels switch between dialogue, shooting, platforming, puzzles, and even a boss fight at the very end. They're all spaced out in a way that you never get exhausted. Speaking of dialogue, it's very charming and goofy, and it doesn't make the mistake of taking itself too seriously or making the conversations long, boring, expository dumps. Instead, it works well at making you want to interact with the world more. All in all, if the full release is just this, but more, I think it'll be pretty solid. Voidtrain has, I interrupt your regularly scheduled broadcast to inform you that after playing through the entire demo, recording it, and writing pretty much the entire script for this section, I found out that Voidtrain is sorta an Epic Games Store exclusive, which kinda sucks. There actually is a paid early access that you can play on Epic, and only a demo is available on Steam at the moment, with no indication as to when it's coming. I believe that the early access on Epic is being updated with new content and has stuff that the Steam demo does not, so I guess take everything I say in this section with a grain of salt, because there is no way that I'm going to buy that on Epic. Don't call me an elitist, but as far as I'm concerned, a game isn't released on PC until it's on Steam, because it's pretty much DOA otherwise, so I hope the early access comes to Steam soon. And now, returning to your regularly scheduled broadcast. Voidtrain has a pretty unique premise that was kinda spoiled for me by a pretty lackluster demo. This is a co-op game that is also a survival game that's also on a train, and that train is also in space, and there's also monsters that you have to shoot, which makes for a pretty interesting premise, I think. When you start up the game, you get to create your own character. Actually, now that I think about it, create probably isn't the right word to use, as you basically just hit randomize, and you can change a few things after. Some people might not like this, but I kinda love it, because it reminds me of character creators from games like Sea of Thieves and Ark, where you can just make goofy characters. Once you actually click the new game button, there's a cool introduction sequence with a narrator, where you take shelter in a building with a weird contraption. Activating it leads you to the promised space train. Like what you're seeing? Because that's pretty much the rest of the demo from here. You can collect some materials, and then you get introduced to some basic crafting mechanics, until you arrive at a station where you find your first weapon. After this, you have your first and final enemy encounter of the demo. How's the gunplay in this game? I don't really know. What are the enemies in the game like? You tell me. What do you even do in this game? Good question. I'm mostly just being harsh on this game because I'm actually quite interested in it, and I just wanted to see more of the game, but the demo was just kinda boring. Don't let the fact that this game looks like an Unreal asset flip fool you, because there's a fairly competent shooter underneath. Generic visuals and not so interesting story aside, I think they have the main gameplay loop down. What is it, you ask? Well, it basically consists of being John Wick with supernatural abilities. You basically just kill things and it's awesome. It has crazy physics,
Ooh, that brother's floating in the air.
and a goofy level of gore, as well as some crazy strong abilities, including the ability to cloak yourself and turn invisible, one of the most overpowered time slow abilities I've ever had the pleasure of using, and an F-22 that you can call in and drop in this way. Okay, that last one was a lie. Sorry, I just felt like saying that. Some people might call it too strong and say it needs a nerf, and to them I say, shut up, let me feel like a badass. Just to be clear, this game won't be the next big indie hit or anything, but it is a fun game that's over the top in the best way. The movement in this game is quite floaty, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but in tighter areas it feels kinda clunky. The fact that I was using a high FOV probably didn't help though. Because of this, I wasn't really sold on the game until I played the second mission of the demo, which hooked me in. This mission is much more open and really allows you to use your abilities properly, and if I had any advice for the devs, it would be to stick to levels like this, and not like this. Either that or tone down the movement speed a little. Also, keep the main focus on the gameplay, because that's a much better aspect of the game. In conclusion, if doing this looks cool, check the game out. Full Void was the sleeper hit that I found for the video. Well, I mean, all of them are kinda sleeper hits, that's like the whole point of the video, but Full Void is the most underrated game I played. I had to scroll quite a lot to reach it, but I'm definitely glad I did. Mostly. Anyway, Full Void is a 2D cinematic puzzle platformer that is very retro inspired. I don't have all that much to say about it because it's not a game where I can really do an in-depth breakdown of all the game mechanics or story, as Full Void mainly prioritizes the atmosphere and really just how it makes you feel while playing the game. Full Void has a beautiful hand-drawn pixel art style, which by itself is worthy of a spot on this list. The actual gameplay consists of platforming and puzzles, along with running away from enemies, which can be absolutely terrifying despite the pixel art style. The platforming is basic, but since it's a slower paced game, anything more advanced just wouldn't work that well. And I particularly like the puzzles. They were simple and well designed and easy enough that I was never lost or frustrated, but they were enough to keep me engaged and not bored. This is definitely a game better experienced personally rather than listening to me talk about it, so definitely go check out the demo if you're even slightly interested. I'm gonna keep this section nice and short. Chernobyl Liquidators definitely isn't a game for everyone, but I think that the type of person that this game is for will like it a lot. As the name suggests, in this game you play as a liquidator during the 1986 Chernobyl nuclear disaster. Just to be clear, this is not a fantasy game that has you fighting crackheads or mutants with supernatural occurrences. It's not Fallout or Metro, but instead a more realistically grounded, cinematic, simulation type game with some thrown in Eastern flair, of course. If you're a fan of walking simulator type games with slow, detailed animations and reading lots of documents, then I think this is for you. If that sounds painful and you're thinking that you'd rather endure some sort of medieval torture contraption than play a game like this, then it's probably not for you. I do have to mention that this game needs some work on the technical side. It's just a demo, so I won't bash it too hard, but I hope optimization gets better for the full release, because especially with fires, things can get a little framey, although it's not like this is some fast-paced balls-to-walls FPS, so it doesn't really matter. The last game I have is Pain to Win, a Miami Hotline clone with heart. I mean, you can obviously tell by looking at it that it is heavily inspired, but I think it's good enough that I wouldn't just write it off as another copycat. This is a hard-ass game. They were not lying about the difficult tag on Steam. The demo can be completed in 6 minutes or less, but let's just say it took me a little longer than that to get to that point. The game has a cool art style with lots of gore, of course. It's a Hotline Miami clone, what else did you expect? The weapons are fun and satisfying, and I really like this one that lets you cut through some of the walls. The one major gripe I had with the game is the fact that most of my deaths were one-shots. I would either get one-pumped, get one-shot by one of these stupid saw guys, or even blow myself up, which I suppose is my fault. But that's besides the point, which is that one-shot deaths are annoying, especially in a game like this. If you're in the mood for a Hotline Miami lookalike, check this one out. Enjoy this lovely background footage of Dredge while I wrap up the video. That was originally intended to be for the dedicated review that I was planning on making before I promptly abandoned it at the side of the road, in order to make this video instead. Simply because I didn't really feel like making it, and also I think that ship has already sailed. Alright, maybe not my best joke. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed the first video and what I'm considering making a series, seeing as there are plenty of Steam demos out there, albeit not too many good ones. So if you liked the video, let me know because I had a lot of fun making it and I think a series would be cool. I don't have a problem shitting on soulless corporations that spend millions of dollars on development, that overwork hundreds, sometimes thousands of employees to make generic, forgettable games that nobody even cares about at all. In fact, I find great enjoyment in it, but when it comes to a small studio or even just a single passionate guy who spends all their free time working on a game as a passion project, it doesn't really feel quite as good, you know what I'm saying? I am by no means saying that indie games are above criticism, but I am saying that I might try and keep these videos a bit more positive if I make this into a series. Kinda just keeping it as a sorta, hey, check out these cool demos I played for some upcoming games, with some constructive criticism, and of course the occasional shitting on an asset flip, so bad it's funny kinda game. Anyways, with all that being said, as always,